Welcome to Reggie Sports Talk. I'm your host, RJ Kruger. I hope you all are having a great Christmas week so far. Today on the show, my guest and I are going to talk about the Bears game, the good, the bad, and the optimistic sides of it. The Bears played the Vikings and won 33-27. However, was the game all good? What could they do better? Can they make the playoffs somehow? Let's find out. Today, my guest is a freshman at Mizzou. He is one of the best three-point shooters I've ever seen in my life since Steph Curry. And apparently he can sing too. Renaissance man we got here. You better not get sick of him because he's doing 3 videos in a row with me. I give you Jack Horan. How you doing,
Hi,
Jack?
what's going on? I'm excited to be here, and it's going to be a few that you're going to see me on, so I'm excited to get into it. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready. Got a couple more days of work and then can start the Christmas holiday. Can't wait for that. Can't wait.
True.
All right. So what were the good parts of the game for you?
I think the most important part was easily the run game. I don't think the whole game that we got a holding call. If I'm correct on that, I was kind of amazed that we never did. Our O-line looked amazing, and Montgomery looked like a top 10 running back there. So I think that did an immense, had an immense effect on our offense because that really opens up the pass game, gives Trubisky easy throws, and it keeps our play action and keeps the defense guessing. I think that was really important for our offense to get, and you can see that's, I think, the biggest difference from our losing streak to now. So we got to keep that up if we want to beat the Packers later on. So I think that was the biggest positive. Our defense had a few lapses, but 2 4th and 1s that game, we were able to get big stops. So they came big when they needed to. So I think that was important as well.
Yeah. Like you said, our defense did show up when they needed to, forced a couple of turnovers, which helps. And they had those 2 4th and 1 stops, which were big. I also think Trubisky had a great game. He was making some reads. We always make the jokes that Trubisky does, oh, Robinson's my first read, so I'm just going to sit here and throw the ball to Robinson all game. But I think Robinson had almost the least amount of catches I've seen him have in his whole career. Mooney had a lot of catches. Komet had a lot of catches. Miller got one towards the end. Wims even got a ball thrown to him. I mean, Trubisky was sharing the wealth, and it wasn't just, where's Robinson? Let me throw this up to him.
Exactly.
He also ran when he needed to. He didn't take a lot of sacks. He did designed runs and then runs on his own to get his first downs, which was really good. And he slid a lot, and it was a nice slide. It wasn't like a slide where you're like, oh my gosh, Trubisky's going to break his leg when he slides. He had a nice slide today, or on Sunday too, which was super nice.
Yeah, he's gotten injured on those dives before, like twice now, where he kind of goes half head first. That's a little – I don't like to watch that.
I wonder what White Sox or Cubs player they brought in to teach Trubisky how to slide properly.
Yeah.
He also didn't force a lot in. There was a couple that he forced in. The interception at the end was forced in, but he definitely cut down the passes he was forcing in, which was super good. And like you said, the Bears were able to run the ball. I have Montgomery's stats. He had 32 carries for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. When was the last time a Bears running back not only ran for over 100 yards, but 2 touchdowns and had over 20 carries in a game?
Yeah, that's a big thing we haven't had in a while. So it's nice to see that and have a balanced offense. I think that'll be important for the future of the organization in the years to come as well.
Yeah, whatever switch the offense flipped, I'm glad they flipped it, and let's keep it going. Not all football games are good, though. Even in the games where your team wins 57-7, you can find something bad in the game, something that you think your team can improve on. What is something that was bad for the Bears in this game?
I think the main thing was the secondary. Now, given the secondary did have injuries, so part of the blame can be on that with us having a few people out, but there were just a lot of times that people were getting wide open, whether it was Jefferson or Thielen or something like that. I mean, Thielen was wide open in the end zone, their first touchdown, I think. So that's something we can't let happen. And I mean, we were letting up quick scores too. It wasn't like they were really thought out drives. Some of them were, but I mean, there was one time we got a touchdown and then instantly the Vikings were right back in the red zone. So I think it's something that we wish we had our old defense, but we still have things to improve on our defensive secondary to kind of tighten up and lock down a little more.
Yeah, we were missing Johnson and Screen. That
Yeah.
hurts. We were missing Deion Bush to switch in there too for a little bit. So Jackson and Gibson were probably getting tired towards the end because they had to play like every snap.
Yeah.
They, like we said, the defense got some turnovers. Our front seven looked really good. They stopped a lot of the run. They held Delvin Cook to 130 rushing yards, which you go 130 rushing yards, like that's a lot, but it's Delvin Cook who gets
Not
like
that bad.
200,
Yeah.
300 a week. So our front seven did really well. Secondary, not so well. They gave up 300 passing yards. I mean, like we said, a lot of people were injured, but that's also so frustrating because it's like our offense is starting to do good and our defense is giving up
Yeah.
27 points a game.
It's just too hard to be good at both things at once. Too hard for the Bears.
Yeah, they can't keep that balance, and that's what really stinks. But I mean, like you said, we had 2 4th-and-1 stops on our defense. We had the 2 turnovers. Quinn showed up. He played for a
Yeah,
contract,
I was
apparently.
like, whoa, that wasn't Mac.
Or my boy Hicks, who football I got right over here.
Him and Cook have a good little rivalry too, so that's always fun to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sit here and bash on the Bears defense because of how much they've done for us. So
Yeah.
I guess let's look at the optimism in this game. We'll just give them this one because of how banged up they were.
Yeah.
So what are you feeling optimistic about after this game?
I think the off-season moves, I don't even know what to do. I'm glad I'm not in the front of the organization. Like, I wouldn't know what changes to make, which ones you make. I think this sets up a big game against the Packers, and that will really measure where we are as a franchise. I mean, if we get blown out by the Packers, who cares about these last 3 wins if we have something to play for in that game? So I think we have a chance to really prove that we can stay put with Trubisky and Nagy and like build something here. And we have a first-round draft pick this year, first time in like 3 years. So we'll see how that goes and who we pick up.
Yeah. I also think if this Bears team can make the playoffs, they can be dangerous. They could be the 9-7 team that everyone talks about that can somehow make a playoff run. If Trubisky keeps playing like this, I think our offense will be okay. If Montgomery keeps running how he does, our offense will be more than okay. I really like Bill Lazor with Trubisky calling plays. They were mentioning it, the commentators were something with how Bill Lazor like moves Trubisky and Trubisky only has to look at half the field is brilliant
Yeah.
because he's able to just focus on those reads and he's not one to just cross his body. And whatever Bill Lazor and Trubisky are drawing up is whatever the offense should have been when Matt Nagy came in. Because Matt Nagy had his offense set. This is how I want to do it. And Trubisky's not my guy to do this. So I'm going to sit here and make it look like he's not my guy. But if you look, Bill Lazor was able to build an offense around Trubisky. In these past 3 weeks have looked really good for Trubisky. Yes, we lost a couple of close games, but Trubisky went from looking like he might be an okay backup to have in a couple of years to, hey, he might actually be able to be an average starting quarterback that can take a team to a Super Bowl maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come down to his next 2 games. The Packers one will be big. I think it's a huge stepping stone for Trubisky to see if we keep him or not, or if he goes into a backup role. It'll be a big few weeks going into the offseason to see what happens.
Would you like to see the Bears sign Trubisky and even keep him as a backup if they do go and draft someone else?
I wouldn't mind it. I honestly don't like the idea of drafting a quarterback just because we have like we'll have something like the 15th pick. That's a little risky to draft a new quarterback that late and think that he could be better than Trubisky, who we've seen develop. So I think if we were to trade someone for someone, maybe, but I do think we should keep into consideration keeping him at least as a backup if we have the ability to.
What do you do with Foles' contract? I mean,
I I don't know what you do. I don't think anyone's really gonna pick him up. It's gonna be hard to deal with him, but I don't know if we just release him, we'll see what happens. Or if we keep him, who knows?
yeah. Um, I think what we've seen out of Trubisky is been really great lately. I don't know if the benching is what he needed, but let's just say Trubisky is a different quarterback now,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see him in his future and progress. I've always been a Mitch Trubisky supporter. Always defended him against people, and I think this is the Trubisky that Ryan Pace saw when he was drafting him, and I think this is the Trubisky that we need to see in Chicago going forward.
I'm excited to be able to wear my Trubisky jersey for a little bit and not feel like I'm wearing a stupid guy's jersey. So hopefully he stays because I don't want to have to buy a new jersey as well.
Yeah. Um, so do you think this Bears team, with all that we've said about them, could make the playoffs and be that dangerous team?
I mean, they could. I think they'll for sure beat the Jaguars. I mean, I'd put like all my money on that because the Jaguars are not going to try to win. Because they might have the first pick now that the Jets won. So it really comes down to the Packers game. I mean, I think there's a possibility the Packers could be sitting people. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but even if we win those two games, we'll need help. I'm not sitting here like, oh, we're going to make the playoffs. But I think there's a legitimate shot that we can beat the Packers and then we'll just need a little help. But I mean, we'll see if our team has taken a big enough step to take down the Packers, which will be interesting to see.
Yeah. I think they can. Like you said, I think we can beat the Jaguars super easily. I don't want to say any game's easy, but because I mean, look at what the Jets did. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Jets are going 0-16 and they just beat the Rams."
Yeah.
But because any given Sunday, I mean, but I think we'll beat the Jaguars. The question mark is the Packers. Right now, they have a better record than the Saints, but the Packers play the Titans next Sunday night. If the Packers beat the Titans and the Saints end up losing or winning, I think it also depends on what happens with the Seahawks. I think if there's a chance the Packers sit everyone, the Bears have a better chance of winning. But I also feel like this Bears team will be hungry and wanting to show people Nagy will be coaching for his job. I think Laser will be coaching for his job. Trubisky's playing for a future. Robinson's playing for a contract. If you look at all these pieces, I think all the Bears are playing for more than just a playoff spot. They're also playing for what their future holds. And that's a dangerous thing, gambling on someone's future. And I think that they'll be able to do that. And I think they'll be able to win with that. I think, like you said, they need some help with the Cardinals. If they lose, we need the Cardinals to lose. I don't know if it's one game or two games, but I think that's tough when you have a team like Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, and Christian Kirk, and Kenyon Drake as an offense to lose two games in a row.
Yeah, the help part sucks, but we'll see what can happen. We've seen the Cardinals lose close games. I mean, I kind of was thinking about that the Hail Mary that they got could really change who makes the playoff, and that could be the difference maker. So, I mean, who knows what happens? It's only for us to guess, but I think we have a shot at winning out. It's just a matter of if the Rams or Niners can help us.
Yeah. All right, Jack. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us on Reggie Sports Talk. I've been your host, RJ Kruger. Jack Coran was your guest. Don't get sick of him because you got him for 2 more weeks after this. Next week, Jack and another mystery guest who you don't know of yet is talking about college football with us. And let me tell you, there might have been a little bit of fun with that video already. So you'll have to wait and see. If you like this video, please share it and like it. And let us know what you thought of the Bears game this week. I hope you all are having a good break and Merry Christmas to all. See you all next week.